and welcome
Morning.
to United Lodge of Theosophists of Washington, D.C. Today we're celebrating a very special day. We would like to welcome everyone for the celebration of the White Lotus Day. The celebration of the White Lotus Day is, in a way, celebration of the life and contribution of Helena Blavatsky and her magnetizing and extensive search for the truth and passing to us the wisdom of the ages from the masters of wisdom that we can find today and repeat in our readings today in Bhagavad Gita, in Voice of the Silence, and in Light of Asia. Today is also a devotional day. This is the day when we renew our fellowship to the teachings of Theosophy. It's our service to humanity. Because basically what we can sum up the teaching is in a service to humanity and advancement of the humanity along the path of the spiritual evolution. So today we reaffirm our devotion, and everyone who is aligned with this purpose is invited to join and participate in person or virtually. The H.P. Blavatsky, through her life and through passing on to us the teachings, was basically leading us towards the law of universal brotherhood. The key of her message was building that universal brotherhood. So again, today is a devotional day when we remember this, we celebrate this, and we recommit ourselves to serving this purpose. Now the question, why lotus? Well, why do we use the symbol of lotus to celebrate this day? The lotus comes already when the lotus flower, when it appears, already has all of the preconceived forms of the petal and the flower. So in a way, it's used as a symbol of us coming into life with the form for the spiritual growth. And then throughout our life, we unfold from within outward in our higher spiritual nature, and therefore evolving into a beautiful flower that we are. And within the jewel of the lotus, in each of us lies the potential to defer the temporary bliss of materialism, so that we may help ourselves and others achieve a soul life free of attachment, appetites, passions, anxieties, fear, and anger. But again, any achievement that we may pursue just for ourselves will be found pointless unless it is shared with all, as we are all in a unity of one. And if we look at the teachings, it reminds us that we are not separate. We are all united in one existence, in one being, in one spiritual growth. So any attainments that we pursue are to lead us to the unity, to the brotherhood, and to the evolution of our human race, and following the wisdom that masters left us in this hierarchy of this evolution. So with this, I would like to invite the reading number 1, and the first reading will be from Bhagavad Gita.
From the Bhagavad Gita. Even sages have been deluded as to what is action and what inaction. Therefore I shall explain to thee what is action, by a knowledge of which thou shalt be liberated from evil. One must learn well what is action to be performed, what is not to be, and what is inaction. The path of action is obscure. That man who sees inaction in action, and action in inaction, is wise among men. He is a true devotee and a perfect performer of all action. Those who have spiritual discrimination call him wise, whose undertakings are all free from desire, for his actions are consumed in the fire of knowledge. He abandoneth the desire to see a reward for his actions, is free, contented, and upon nothing dependeth. And although engaged in action, he really doeth nothing. He is not solicitous of results, with mind and body subdued, and being above enjoyment from objects, doing with the body alone the acts of the body, he does not subject himself to rebirth. He is contented with whatever he receives fortuitously, is free from the influence of the pairs of opposites, and from envy, the same in success and failure. Even though he act, he is not bound by the bonds of action. The actions of such a man who is free from self-interest, who is devoted, with heart set upon spiritual knowledge, and whose acts are sacrifices for the sake of the Supreme, are dissolved and left without effect upon him. The Supreme Spirit is the act of offering. The Supreme Spirit is the sacrificial butter offered in the fire, which is the Supreme Spirit. And unto the Supreme Spirit goeth he who maketh the Supreme Spirit the object of his meditation in performing actions. Some devotees give sacrifice to the gods, while others, lighting the subtler fire of the Supreme Spirit, offer up themselves. Still others make sacrifice with the senses, beginning with hearing, in the fire of self-restraint, and some give up all sense-delighting sounds. And others, again, illuminated by spiritual knowledge, sacrifice all the functions of the senses and vitality in the fire of devotion through self-constraint. There are also those who perform sacrifice by wealth given in alms, by mortification, by devotion, and by silent study. Some sacrifice the upbreathing in the downbreathing, and the downbreathing in the upbreathing by blocking up the channels of inspiration and expiration, and others by stopping the movements of both the life breaths. Still others, by abstaining from food, sacrifice life in their life. All these different kinds of worshipers are by their sacrifices purified from their sins. But they who partake of the perfection of spiritual knowledge arising from such sacrifices pass into the eternal Supreme Spirit. But for him who maketh no sacrifices, there is no part nor lot in this world. How then shall he share in the other, O best of the Kurus? All these sacrifices of so many kinds are displayed in the sight of God. Know that they all spring from action, and comprehending this, thou shalt obtain an eternal release. O harasser of thy foes, the sacrifice through spiritual knowledge is superior to sacrifice made with material things. Every action, without exception, is comprehended in spiritual knowledge, O son of Pritha. Seek this wisdom by doing service, by strong search, by questions, and by humility. The wise who see the truth will communicate it unto thee, and knowing which thou shalt never again fall into error, O son of Bharata. By this knowledge thou shalt see all things and creatures whatsoever in thyself, and then in me. Spoken by Krishna.
Now we'll go to the reading number 2, and reading number 2 will be from the Voice of Silence.
Can you hear me? Okay. The reading number 2 is from the third fragment of the Voice of the Silence. No conqueror of sins, once that of Savani hath crossed the seventh path, all nature thrills with joyous awe and feels subdued. The silver star now twinkles out the news to the night blossoms, the streamlet to the pebbles ripple out the tale. Dark ocean waves will roar it to the rocks, surf-bound, scent-laden breezes sink into the whales, and stately pines mysteriously whisper, a master has risen, a master of the day. He standeth now like a white pillar to the west, upon whose face the rising sun of thought eternal poureth forth its most glorious waves. His mind, like a becalmed and boundless ocean, spreadeth out in shoreless space. He holdeth life and death in his strong hand. Yea, he is mighty. The living power made free in him, that power which is himself, can raise the tabernacle of illusion high above the gods, above great Brahm and Indra. Now he shall surely reach his great reward. Shall he not use the gifts which it confers for his own rest and bliss, his well-earned weal and glory, he, the subduer of the great delusion? Nay, O thou candidate for nature's hidden lore, if one would follow in the steps of the holy Tathagata, those gifts and powers are not for self. Wouldst thou thus dam the waters born on Semiru? Shalt thou divert the stream for thy own sake, or send it back to its prime source along the crests of cycles? If thou wouldst have the stream of hard-earned knowledge, of wisdom heaven-born, remain sweet-running waters, thou shouldst not have leave it to become a stagnant pond. No, if of Amitabha, the boundless age, thou wouldst become a co-worker, then thou shouldst shed the light acquired, like the Bodhisattvas twain, upon the span of all three worlds. Know that the stream of superhuman knowledge and that Deva wisdom thou hast won must from thyself, the channel of Alaya, be poured forth into another bed. Know, O Narjol, thou of secret path, its fresh waters must be used to sweeter make the ocean's bitter waves, the mighty sea of sorrow formed of the tears of men. Alas, once thou hast become like the fixed star in the highest heaven, the bright celestial orb must shine forth out the spatial depths for all, save for itself. Give light to all, but take from none. Alas, when thou hast become like the pure snow in the mountain vales, cold and unfeeling to the touch, warm and protective to the seed that sleepeth deep beneath its bosom, it's now the snow which thou must receive, the biting frost, the northern blasts, dust shielding from the sharp and cruel tooth, the earth that holds the promised harvest, the harvest which that'll feed the hungry. Self-doomed to live through the future kalpas, unthanked and unperceived by man, wedged as a stone with countless other stones from which the guardian wall, such is thy future, if the seventh gate thou passeth. Built by the hands of many masters of compassion, raised by the tortures, by the blood cemented, it shields mankind, since man is man, protecting it from further and far greater misery and sorrow. Withal man sees it not, will not perceive it, nor will he heed the words of wisdom, for he knows not. But thou hast heard it, thou knowest all, O thou of eager, guileless soul, and thou must choose, then hearken yet again. On Soan's path, O Sotapati, thou art secure. Aye, on that marga, where naught but darkness meets the weary pilgrim, where torn by thorns the hands drip blood, the feet are cut by sharp, unyielding flints, and Mara wields his strongest arms, there lies a great reward immediately beyond. Calm and unmoved, the pilgrim glideth up the stream that to Nirvana leads. He knoweth that the more his feet will bleed, the whiter will himself be washed. He knoweth well that after 7 short and fleeting births, Nirvana will be his. Such is the dhyana path, the heaven of the yogi, the blessed goal that Sotapatis crave. Not so when he had crossed over and won the Arihata path. There klesha is destroyed forever, tanha's roots torn out. But stay, disciple, yet one word. Canst thou destroy divine compassion? Compassion is not attribute. It is a law of laws, eternal harmony, alaya self, a shoreless universal essence, the light of everlasting right, and fitness of all things, the law of love eternal. The more thou dost become at one with it, thy being melted in its being, the more thy soul unites with what which is, the more thou wilt become compassion absolute. Such is the Arya path, path of the Buddhas of perfection. Withal, what mean the sacred scrolls which make thee say, Om, I believe it is not all that arhats that get of the nirvanic path the sweet fruition. Om, I believe that nirvana dharma is entered not by all Buddhas. Yea, on the Arya path, thou art no more Sratapati, thou art a Bodhisattva. The stream is crossed. 'Tis true that thou hast a right to Dharmakaya vesture, but Sambhogakaya is greater than the Nirvani, and greater still is the Nirmanakaya, the Buddha of compassion. Now bend thy head and listen well, O Bodhisattva. Compassion speaks and saith, Can there be bliss when all that lives must suffer? Shalt thou be saved and hear the whole world cry? Now thou hast heard that which was said. Thou shalt attain the seventh step and cross the gate of final knowledge, but only to wed woe, if thou wouldst be Tathagata. Follow upon their predecessor steps, remain unselfish till the endless end. Thou art enlightened, choose thy way. Behold, the mellow light that floods the eastern sky, in signs of praise both heaven and earth unite, and from the fourfold manifested powers a chant of love ariseth, both from the flaming fire and flowing water, and from sweet-smelling earth and rushing wind. Hark! From the deep, unfathomable vortex of that golden light in which the victor bathes, all nature's wordless voice in thousand tones ariseth to proclaim, Joy unto ye, O men of Mayalba! A pilgrim hath returned back from the other shore. A new Arhan is born. Peace to all beings.
Now we'll go to reading number 3 from the Light of Asia. The reading will be followed by a biographical talk.
Reading number 3 from the Light of Asia. The fourth truth is the way. It openeth wide. Plain for all feet to tread, easy and near. The noble eightfold path, it goeth straight to peace and refuge, here. Manifold tracks lead to yon sister peaks, around whose snows the gilded clouds are curled. By steep or gentle slopes the climber comes, where breaks that other world. Strong limbs may dare the rugged road with storms, soaring and perilous the mountain's breast. The weak must wind from slower ledge to ledge with many a place of rest. So is the eightfold path which brings to peace. By lower or by upper heights it goes. The firm soul haste, the feeble terrors. All reach the sunlit snows. The first good level is right doctrine. Walk in fear of Dharma, shunning all offense in heat of karma, which doeth make man's fate in lordship over sense. The second is right purpose. Have goodwill to all that lives, letting unkindness die and greed and wrath, so that your lives be made like soft airs passing by. The third is right discourse. Govern the lips as they were palace doors. The king within, tranquil and fair and courteous be all words which from that presence win. The fourth is right behavior. Let each act as soil, a fault or help a merit grow. Like threads of silver seen through crystal beads, let love through good deeds show. 4 higher roadways be. Only those feet may tread them which have done with earthly things. Right purity, right thought, right loneliness, right rapture. Spread no wings. For sunward flight, thou soul with unplumed veins. Sweet is the lower air and safe, and known the homely levels. Only strong ones leave the nest, which each makes his own. Dear is the love I know of wife and child, pleasant the friends and pastimes of your years, fruitful of good life's gentle charities, false though firm set its fears. Live ye who must, such lives as live on these. Make golden stairways of your weakness. Rise by daily sojourn with those fantasies to lovelier verities. So shall ye pass to clearer heights and find easier ascents and lighter loads of sins, and larger will to burst the bounds of sense, entering the path who wins. Through such commitment hath the first stage touched. He knows the noble truths, the eightfold road. By few or by many steps, such shall attain Nirvana's blessed abode. Who standeth at the second stage, made free from doubts, delusions, and the inward strife, Lord of all lust, quit of the priest and books, shall live but one more life. Yet onward lies the third stage. Purged and pure hath grown the stately spirit here, hath risen to love all things in perfect sense. His life at end, life's prison, is broken. Nay, there are those who surely pass living invisible to utmost goal. By fourth stage, the holy ones, the Buddhas, and they of stainless soul. Lo, I, like fierce foes slain by some warrior. 10 sins along these stages lie in dust. The love of self, false faith, and doubt are 3. 2 more, hatred and lust. Who of these 5 is conqueror hath trod 3 stages out of 4. Yet there abide the love of life on earth, desire for heaven, self-praise, error, and pride. As one who stands on yonder snowy horn, having not o'er him but the boundless blue, so these sins being slain, the man is come Nirvana's verge unto him, Nirvana's verge unto. Him the gods envy for their lower seats. Him the 3 worlds and ruin should not shake. All life is lived for him. All deaths are dead. Karma will no more make new houses. Seek nothing, he gains all. Forgiving self, the universe grows. I of any teach Nirvana is to cease. Say unto such they lie. If any teach Nirvana is to live, say unto such they err, not knowing this, nor what light shines beyond their broken lamps, nor lifeless, timeless bliss. Enter the path. There is no grief like hate, no pain like passions, no deceit like sense. Enter the path. Far hath he gone, whose foot treads down one fond offense. Enter the path. There spring the healing streams, quenching all thirst. There bloom the immortal flowers, carpeting all the way with joy. There strong, swiftest, and sweetest hours.
Thank you, readers and Mr. Hinton. As the first speaker said, we're all one. That's what the document says. All this and all these point to that direction. We got a long way to go, and we know that. But we have made some progress, and we need to keep this in mind. And that's why H.P. Blavatsky came in the world to promote. And she came when there were two divided camps. One sectarian masquerading as religion, and materialism robed in science. We can still have that today, but it's a illusion. She put forth fundamentally that God is not a being, that all good and evil is under one law, with all its pain and bliss, and that nature is divinely impartial and impersonal. Her ideals are expressed in the 3 fundamentals of the secret doctrine. The key one, the first one, forming the nucleus of universal brotherhood on the basis that every soul is a spark from the supreme soul. We're all here for a purpose, and we're on this journey long time to help out humanity. And proceed to what our destiny is, and it could be to become perfected if we look at it. Imagine in the sex these days, we have trouble even getting along sometimes, even though we are on the right page. And this is very apparent. We know that this is a long-term goal. It's going to take probably many more lifetimes to get there, but we'll get there. So, but in this secret doctrine, starting with Isis Unveiled and then the secret doctrine and so forth, it lays out everything we need to know about getting there. But it's up to us to embody that. Now, as for H.P. Blavatsky, did she embody her principles? If so, there was a great teacher proved by the great teaching. There was a great leader of mankind proved by the noblest of ideals. And there was a woman in woman form was the greatest warrior on this earth since the days of Krishna Avatar, over this 50 centuries ago. Of her numerous writings, you will find not one word of conceit, malice, and pride, hatred, nor ambition, nor lust of possessions were absent from her, and that is a summary of the occultism of H.P. Blavatsky. The only way you can gain a better perspective of her occultism is through your own individual occultism from within out. But this helps us to do it. HPB's ideals were based upon unchanging, ancient, and eternal spirit. She saw the same light everywhere, the same essence in all things, whether good or evil. She labored unselfishly for all men, good, bad, or life. If one studies her statements of principles, if one reads the constant iteration of her ideals, if one watches her conduct under ridicule, you will find there was a morality that transcends any modern ideals. Seeing the law of life, know that we're slowly coming to realize that we are brothers and sisters, and that includes the whole world. We're faced with many things these days, like global warming and other ways that we need to come together. HPV came to give men who thought themselves to be mortal bodies the knowledge of the spiritual spirit. She came to give to man of immense learning and knowledge, new knowledge, the fundamental concept that the greatest powers and the greatest acquisitions in this world are dust and ashes, unless unceasingly to ameliorate the condition of mankind. Nowhere within our time, except in the gropings of hope in the dim depths of our hearts, has there ever been such a descent of divinity upon this earth. HPB knew that the Anglo-Saxon race would dominate the world, so her mission was to be in English. She was a foreigner from a distrusted and despised country, Russia. She was a woman. She was obese in appearance, uncouth in presentment, and she was at an age when women were He came to America 50 years ago. Within 5 years, she had written in English and had published a book, The Light Which Does Not Exist on This Earth, Isis Unveiled. There's no comparison between her philosophy and anything ever presented, her ideals and how she strove for them in the three objects of the Theosophical Society, the fundamental principles of this esoteric section. Nowhere in church or state or school is there anything to compare with them, and all that was done while mud was being hurled at her. There are only this globe of people who turn to HPV in gratitude and love and devotion. However short their understanding, however erroneous their perceptions, they know that the light shines on what they read from HPV. What you may call the man of science is ever so slowly growing humble and reverence towards the occult side of nature. No longer do leading scientists say the universe exists in matter, proceeds from matter, returns to matter. In the sectarian world, there is a vast universal ferment. Priests and parishioners alike are seeking a new conception of religion, a new conception of God, and a new conception of the purpose of life, a new conception of brotherhood. And all this since the time of HPV. It is due to nothing else than to the injection into the mind of the race of the great ideas and ideals of H.P. Blavatsky and those occultists for whom she spoke. She foresaw, as an astronomer can read the stars and otherwise predict eclipses and other catastrophic events. The cultivism of HPV is ever so slowly smashing priestcraft, defeating statecraft. It has laid hold of capitalism, the right of property versus the rights of man is going. Sectarian religion is going. Materialistic science is going. The normal stage from caterpillar to butterfly as the perfect analogy of our civilization. Out of this rotting chrysalis will emerge new civilization, a pure religion, a new conception of the purpose of life. That we are in evolution as immortal spiritual entities at the back of all things. All that is part of the occultism of H.P. Blavatsky. This is the fourth phenomena transcending all of the laws of nature, the laws of mind, the laws of God, and that she could perform these phenomena at will. Besides all this, she seems to profit. Despite all this, she seems to profit from the meeting this on HPV. There are those who are still trying to adopt her ideals and to emulate her conduct. There are those who are studying her enunciation of principles, who are striving to assimilate into their own lives the ideals that she held dear, who are doing their utmost to follow the path she showed, the masters who are behind. HPV is to this day the most potent living influence on this earth. What influence has George Washington done? None. Could a name evoke the magic word whereby today men would track bleeding feet over jagged ice as they did at Valley Forge? Gone is that magic and that inspiration which gave us this flag and this freedom that we daily and hourly abuse. But HPV, coming at the cyclic interview, started a fire burning that nothing has pushed 100, 1,000, 10,000 years from now. That presence will still seem clear and ever near to those who brush it in any way, the occultism of HPV. The appreciation of her occultism is in the hundreds of men and women who to whom HPV is a much more real presence than anybody or any earthly thing. To carry on her work, to see that the labor she gave, the seed she showed, shall be watered, if need be, through their blood and tears, is an emulation of the occultism of HPV. Her teachings exemplify many things that fill people's hearts with courage and clear vision when illuminating the world of thought. Her writings give us the means to uplift both our lives and the lives of others through a growing understanding as we endeavor to live up to each and all of the three objects: universal brotherhood, the first one, demonstration, the importance of ancient and modern religions, philosophies, and sciences, and that's the second one. And third one is an investigation of the unexplained laws of nature and the psychic and spiritual powers latent in man, tempered by our own individual efforts to be as ethical and pure as we can. If we do that this time, today, we improve tomorrow and continue improving as long as we keep trying to do that. Every one of us can do something within our own spheres of influence to help usher us from this iron age to that golden age we keep hearing about. Remember, I think picking up a banana peel on the street with the right motive has just as much importance from the spiritual level as the greatest influence of the greatest individual in office. So if the encourages us to be all we can be at a current state of development, and by steadfastly doing that, we can keep advancing and help others advance with us. So who was HPV? Helena Petrovna Blavatsky was a Russian noblewoman, number one, as we said. She's also lion-hearted, esoteric. She born August 12, 1831, for our current calendar. Her challenges started immediately. A cholera epidemic was going on, and she was a preemie. And they thought she was going to die. So baptism was decided upon. The providing of patient's robe was set on fire from a sleeping, nodding child's candle. HPV's dad was a colonel in the Russian cavalry, not afraid of any horse. HPV became known for her daring and unconventionality, such as not following the tradition of ladies riding side saddle. HPV's honesty and expression seemed daring and abrupt and horrified some of the servants, particularly in view of her psychic powers, and said she could see what was going on in Iran. HPV's mother, a well-known writer, foresaw that HPV would have challenges in life, but she died before her 11th birthday. HPV's grandmother was a princess, and her grandfather was a privy councillor to the Tsar. Her great-grandfather was a prince and a student of alchemy, magic, and a Kabbalist, and would often be found, and she would often be found reading in his library. When in London at age 20, about thereabouts, she recognized a person in her dreams as her master Maria, who gave her a preview of her future wishing, and she followed this direction without swerving from the lines laid down. She laid the groundwork for exposing and purifying the religion of the day, of the dogma and cross, so we can get an idea of the truth that underlie each and all, and we're continuing to work on that. She traveled all over the place in Canada and mountains in a covered wagon. She went across the country. She emphasized that she also emerged in other places like Mexico and South America, energizing the world as she went in Tibet and fighting for religious freedom. She was wounded 5 times and left for dead. In the port of Athens, her ship was wrecked by explosives in transit to be used against pirates. So the thought of the United States seemed particularly fertile due to the influence of the masters in the formation of this young country, and the view that this land mass is in the proximity of the world's next great civilization. So in 1873, she was directed by her master to come over and break through the dogmatization and the materialism of Western science and religion, to conform the reality of the spiritualism that had been started in various parts of the world, but corrected the mistakes of the theory. That was her mission. So she got to New York and with no money. She had exchanged her first class ticket for steerage tickets for herself and a stranded woman with children. So she found work using her artistic talents. She had many of them, making ties and artificial flowers. She was also a concert pianist too. She and Colonel Alcott and William T. Judge formally established the Theosophical Society on November 17, 1875. From then until her passing, her entire being was focused on bringing forward an ancient wisdom as kept by masters until the world is ready for it. And then the popular idea in the world was that the ancients were ignorant, but she debunked that through the revelations that through her masters, as evidence contingencies servants of ancient civilizations much more advanced than any we know about today. The evolutionary process that she laid out makes it obvious that we have evolved from the highest levels and that each one of us has unlimited potential. HPV wrote the aim of the Theosophical Society, which quote, as the highest development physically and spiritually on this earth on the creative cause, man should aim to solve the mystery of his being. He is the creator of his species, physically, and having inherited the nature of the unknown but palpable cause of his own creation, must possess in his inner physical self, this creative power, in at least in lesser degree. In 1876 and 77, she held an open house every evening, and it attended by many prominent persons of her day. The discussions were lively and sometimes lasted until early morning. Her work has prompted a big change in thinking and more compassionate, more compassion toward society and the creatures of the world does. She laid that groundwork for exposing and purifying the religion of the day and the dogmas and trust as we can get the idea of the truth that underlie it all. She influenced many minds by like Thomas Edison, a member of the CS, Einstein, who kept a copy of the Secret Doctrine on his desk for ready reference, Frank Baum, author of the very Theosophical Story of Wisdom of Oz. It's for children, but used in many ways like training managers. Gandhi, Nehru, Bhagavad, our labor reformer philosopher, and founded the Indian Institute of World Culture. A body of literature was needed to accomplish the same. So she wrote Isis Unveiled, and she later wrote The Secret Doctrine, which is full of facts and so forth. She said that she only, the only thing that she did was put some nosegay of a nosegay ribbon around it, but the facts are there. They can only be ignored. Mr. Judge noted with relative to Isis Unveiled that it attracted wide attention in all the New York papers, saying that it exhibited immense research. The strange part of this is, as I and many others can testify, as eyewitnesses to the production of the book, that the writer had no library in which to make the researches. It's a finesse. She had no notes. But the readings, as it's presented, was straight out of hand. And yet it is full of references to books and the British Museum and other great libraries, and every reference is correct. Either then we have, as to that book, a woman who was capable of storing her memory, a mass of facts, dates, numbers, titles, and subjects such as no other human being ever was capable of, or her claim to help from unseen beings is just. There's people who verified this. Professor Carson at Cornell University, he observed that, and other people did too. That she had, in addition to all her other things she was doing, she wrote about 25 closely written pages per day for that book. She also issued the Luther magazine in 1879. It's the Theosophist position in 1888. And she started the esoteric section. The Secret Doctrine was published in that year also in 1879. That's this one right here. She wrote that again, she she had made here only a nosegay of cauliflowers and had brought nothing of her own but the string that ties them. Pull the strings to pieces and cut to shreds, if you will. As to the nosegay effects, you will never be able to make away with them. You can only ignore them and no more. As to reach the pure teachings, we don't have to go through other people. It comes a long line of such teachers that exist, he exists known to the knowing of the truly parachute. Each of them is a pupil of the mighty Lord. This gives us a glimpse of our potential should we dare to respectfully follow in the footsteps of our predecessors. Take over birthright and number one,